Alright everyone, this is Zero Budget Geek and welcome back to Magic Duels and my review of the Shadows over Innistrad and Oath of the Gatewatch cards that were released on Steam. Because both sets were released at the same time, I'm basically reviewing all the cards together because I'm seeing them all together now for the first time. So in previous episodes we've looked at all the colored cards as well as the gold cards. Now in this final episode, which should be the final, we're going to look at all the colors cards, the artifacts, and the lands. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into that, and we'll start over here. We have a Bonesaw, which costs 0. And equipped creature gets +1/+0, and you can equip this for 1. So not that great, but there are some cards in the set that make use of having equipment. So a 0 cost equipment is kind of cute, and your opponent most likely is not going to spend resources to try to destroy it. So could be cute. Depends on the other cards. I don't remember what the other I know there were a few creatures that screwed around with artifact equipment cards in particular, so that may be useful. Otherwise it's kind of bleh. Alright, we have a Brain in a Jar. For 2 mana, you get a rare artifact. Alright, 1 and tap it. Put a charge counter on Brain in a Jar. Then you may cast an instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Brain in a Jar from your hand without paying its mana cost. Ooh, this is really cool. Okay, and then 3 and tap it. Remove X charge counters from Brain in a Jar. Scry for X. Well, the scrying is cool, but man, being able to let's see, put a charge counter and equal to, yeah, you don't lose those counters, so you keep turn after turn. You keep putting these counters on here, and then you can play instants or sorceries. Oh man, in a red blue deck with lots of instants and sorceries, it could be really good. I like this card, Brain in a Jar, and even the scry thing is kind of cool, but I like just the fact that you can play your cards without a mana cost after a while. So pretty neat. I like that. Alright, let's move over here. We have a Chitinous Cloak. For 3, you get an uncommon equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has menace, and you need 3 to equip it. Well, I'm not a fan of equipment, but at least they're a little bit better than auras. And this one gives +2/+2, which is pretty nice, and menace, which is even better. So this one's kind of worthwhile, especially when you have other cards that take advantage of having equipment in play. So this was at least playable. We have an Eldrazi Mimic. Cost 2. It's a 2/1 rare Eldrazi. Whenever another colorless creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may change Eldrazi's Mimic's base power and toughness to that creature's power and toughness until end of turn. So it copies other creatures under your control. So it copies other creatures that you play. Very good for Eldrazi aggro deck, and it only costs 2. Very cool card. You'll see that in those decks. Endbringer. 1 colorless mana and 5 of any color. You get a rare Eldrazi. He's a 5/5, and you untap Endbringer during each other player's untap step. So he untaps. It's almost like he has vigilance. Okay, you tap him. Endbringer deals 1 damage to target creature or player. You can pay a colorless and tap him. Target creature can't attack or block this turn, and you play 2 colorless and tap him and draw a card. So a number of things you can do. So you'll be able to attack with him, and then he'll untap during your player's untap step, and then you got some shenanigans you can do. You can deal damage, you can draw a card, and make something not attack. So very versatile card. It does cost 6 mana, so it's pretty mana intensive like most Eldrazi are, but it's colorless, so it shouldn't be too hard to play. So really neat. I like this guy. I think we'll see him being used because he's very versatile. Okay, we have Harvest Hand. 3 of any color. It's an uncommon artifact creature, Scarecrow. It's a 2/2 for 3. When Harvest Hand dies, return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. The harvest is never finished. Alright, let's see what it transforms into. Scrounged Scythe. Oh, it turns into an equipment card. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. As long as equipped creature is a human, it has menace, and it costs 2 to equip. So it looks like what you want to be creating is an equipment deck based around humans, and you got something there. So far I haven't seen anything stupendous, but maybe the aggregate of all these little +1s here and there regarding equipments will add up to a lot. So but I love the thematic flavor of it, that he dies and then you steal the scythe from it. So kind of cool, but limited card. Alright, Haunted Cloak costs 3. It's an uncommon equipment. Equipped creature has vigilance, trample, and haste, and you pay 1 to equip it. So now this is kind of nice because you don't need to worry about having this on one specific creature all the time. You just put this in play, and then every time you play a creature, pay an extra 1 to give it haste. And then the vigilance and trample are just kind of a bonus, but I think being able to pay 1 every time you play something to give it haste could be very interesting. I don't know if the haste goes away if you unequip it to something else. So if I play 2 creatures and I give pay 1 to equip it to one, then the other, do you get haste on both? I don't think so. You probably lose it. So, but it's pretty nice. It's kind of cute. I think you can do stuff with this. I like this a little bit better than some of the others. Alright, Colorless Pathfinder. 6 of any color. It's a common Eldrazi. It's a 5/5. Not bad for 6 of any color. And you pay a colorless. Target creature can't block the Pathfinder this turn. Alright, so, you know, makes it hard to block them. At 5/5, you're not totally cringing, you know, because, you know, there's ways to kill this. So, I'm not super impressed, but it is kind of cute. Alright, we looked at the Brain Giant, and then we have Colorless, the Great Distortion himself. He costs 2 colorless mana, and then 8 of any color. He's a mythic, so you can only have 1 in your deck. And he's an Eldrazi, and he's a 12/12, so he's bigger than Ulamog. When you cast Colorless, the Great Distortion, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, which you probably will, draw cards equal to the difference. So you'll probably draw at least 1 card if you had 7, but more likely you'll draw more than that. He has Menace, which is really good, so it makes him very hard to be blocked. Not very hard, but, you know, difficult to be blocked. And you can discard a card with converted mana cost X. Counter target spell with converted mana cost of X. So he has his own built-in counter spells, which is neat. The only thing is that he's much easier to kill than Ulamog. So though you can, though he does have a built-in counter spell. So so he has some built-in protection. But neat card. I still think you'll probably see Ulamog more often as the game ender, but this guy's kind of interesting. I mean, he's big. He's big, and he can protect himself in a limited fashion, and he's a little bit hard to block. So, and he'll give you some cards at least. So, he's worth it, in at least that he replaces himself. So, but I don't know if he'll replace Ulamog. Probably not. Okay, here we have the Mattershaper. 1 colorless and 2 of any color. It's a rare Eldrazi, so only 2 in your deck. It's a 3/2 for 3 mana, not bad. When Mattershaper dies, reveal the top card of your library. You may put that card onto the battlefield if it's a permanent card with a converted mana cost 3 or less. Otherwise, put that card into your hand. So, alright, so there's no drawback to this. You can either get something into play or get into your hand. That's worthwhile. It'll go definitely in an Eldrazi, a colorless deck. But hey, you can even use this in other decks, because it's not really specific to Eldrazi. So, yeah, pretty cool. I like that guy. I think you might see him outside of Eldrazi decks. Spatial Contortion. 1 colorless and 1 of any color. You get an uncommon instant. Target creature gets +3/-3 until end of turn. Well, at first glance, it seems like, but there is so many ways you can use this. You can use this to bump something up and do more damage and maybe kill something much bigger than it, or end the game, or use its -3 to kill something. So, this is kind of cool. This is a very versatile spell, and it's cheap. You do need to have the specific colorless, but in the right deck, that should not be a problem. So I like the Spatial Contortion. Murderer's Axe, 4 mana for an uncommon equipment. Creature gets +2/+2, and you have to discard a card to equip it. That sounds horrible, except that we have all sorts of madness and delirium things that we want to activate, so this may not be so bad to do. You do have to pay 4, which is quite a bit, but you know, the fact that it helps madness and delirium decks could make it worthwhile. We have a Stoneforge Masterwork. It's 1 mana for a rare equipment. Wow. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it, and you spend 2 to equip it. So, man, for 3 mana, you can just equip this all in 1 turn. And with decks with like elves and allies and stuff like that, you could actually potentially get a pretty big creature. So, nice artifact for cheap cost. Now, this I would definitely use. Okay, where are we at? Up here. Neglected Heirloom costs 1 for an uncommon equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 when equipped creature transform Neglected Heirloom, and it's equip of 1. So it looks like this is more meant for werewolves, I guess. And let's see what it turns into. It turns into the Ashmouth Blade. Equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has first strike. And it costs 3 to equip it when it's on this side. When equipped creature transforms, so you equip it for 1, and then when they transform, oh wow, this could be really nasty in a werewolf deck. Outside of that, not that great, because you're only getting +1/+1. But you know, werewolf deck or anything that transforms, this is really cool. Yeah, I'd like to see that in a werewolf deck. Much better. Again, equipment are much better than aura because they have to destroy the equipment separately, even if it's equipped. So that makes it good. Okay, we have a Tamiyo's Journal, 5 of any color for a rare legendary artifact. Okay, at the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. So you get to put a clue artifact token into play that you can sacrifice to draw a card. And you can tap it to sacrifice 3 clues. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand. Then shuffle your library. So we haven't had a really great tutor in a while. I wouldn't say this is a great one because it costs 5 to play it. But it's kind of cool that every turn it's going to give you a clue token. So at the very least, even if you don't do the sacrifice 3 clues, you'll be able to use this to draw cards. So this will help speed up your deck. Though at 5 mana, I'm not sure you need much speeding up, though it'll help replenish your hand, so that's good. So nice card. I like this. It is very pricey, but I think you could see some good use of it. Won't go in any deck though. Alright, Reality Smasher. 1 colorless and 4 of any color. Is a rare Eldrazi. It's a 5/5, which isn't bad for the cost. And it has Trample and Haste, which is really good. And whenever Reality Smasher becomes the target of a spell, an opponent controls counter that spell unless its controller discards a card. Alright, I like that. He has built-in protection. Your opponent has to discard a card in order to do this. So if your opponent play something to get rid of this, they basically have to spend 2 cards. Of course, if they have madness, then it's not that great, but 5 mana for 5/5 Trample Haste, it's good with built-in protection. I like this guy. I think you'll see some use of him even outside of Eldrazi decks. Okay, Thought Not Seer. 1 colorless and 3 of any color, a rare Eldrazi. It's a 4/4, which is good for the cost. And when Thought Not Seer enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it and exile that card. More hand destruction. When Thought Not Seer leaves the battlefield, target opponent draws a card. Okay, so they get a card back, but you do get to exile something, so you can potentially exile something that may be problematic for you to deal with. And it doesn't have to be something like Ulamog. It could be like maybe your deck is not good against enchantments and you can get rid of an enchantment that way. So I like this Thought Not Seer. I think you would see this guy even outside of Eldrazi decks, because 4/4 for 4 mana is really good. That alone is just good. The fact that it lets you get rid of a card in your opponent's hand, like permanently get rid of it, is really great. Now they do get a card back if they kill it, but they're just drawing a random card, so that doesn't matter. The fact that you surgically remove something is really good. So I like this Thought Knot Seer. I think you'll see him used pretty often, and especially in Eldrazi decks. Okay, we have a Sears Lantern, 3 mana for a common artifact. You can tap it for a colorless mana to your mana pool, or 2 and tap it and scry 1. So it's okay if you really need colorless mana, but there's other ways to get colorless mana, and there's always other ways to get scry, so I don't like that card. Alright, we have a Thraben Gargoyle, 1 mana for an uncommon artifact creature. It's a 2/2 for 1 mana, which is freaking great. And it is just a defender though, so that's unfortunate. But still, 1 mana for a 2/2 is good. Good first turn play, it'll defend, and you can pay 6 later on to transform it. What does it transform into? The Stonewing Antagonizer. It's a flying for 4/2. Well, it's a Gargoyle Horror, so that's very underwhelming. 6 mana for a 4/2 flyer is too expensive. It's too expensive, and then its type doesn't really give you much. It's not gonna give you much. I think there might be some things for horror, but not really. So yeah, I'll pass on this. This guy will probably die before he ever gets to transform, so I don't like it. Alright, Skeleton Key, 1 mana for an equipment card. That's always good. See, I don't mind an equipment at 1 mana. Alright, equipped creature has Cloak. It can't be blocked by creatures with greater power, so that's good. I like that. That's good ability. Very useful ability. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Okay, so the ability itself is but it's good when you take into account, again, Madness and Delirium. So I do like this Skeleton Key. It does require a specific deck, but it's a nice equipment for the cost. It's very cheap to play and to equip, so good card for the proper deck. We have a Walker of Waste, 1 colorless and 4 of any color. It's an uncommon Eldrazi, and it's a 4/4 for 5 mana, which is okay. It does have trample, but yeah, I'm not too crazy about trample on a 4/4. And Walker of the Waste gets +1/+1 for each land you control named Waste. Well, here's a reason why you want to be playing Waste for this guy. So if you have all 4 Waste in play, then he can actually be an 8/8, which trample makes him better. So if you have the Waste in play, it's good. Even if you have just 1 Waste, he's a 5/5. That's a little bit better for the cost. So, and you'll probably need a Waste to be able to play him. So in that case, he's actually a little bit better. It's kind of neat. But again, there are ways to deal with big creatures. He doesn't have much protection other than just being big. So, and that's why he's just an uncommon. So he's kind of cool, cute, but I don't know if he's a big game changer. We have a Slayer's Plate, 3 cost artifact. It's a rare. Equipped creature gets +4/+2, which is really nice. Whenever equipped creature dies, if it was a human, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield, and you equip it for 3. So this is a neat artifact. This is one definitely worth using if you're going the equipment route, because the bonus that you get is really worth what you're playing. You're playing 3 to play it and 3 to equip it, but you're getting 6 power there, or 6 points worth, say +4/+2. So it makes most things at least a 5 power. So that's nice. And if it happens to be a human, then you get something when they kill it. So this is a good artifact. This is an example of something that I would actually use if I was using equipment cards. But again, I would probably be building a deck around that. Alright, next we have the Warden of Geometries. Warden of Geometries. 4 cost Eldrazi Zone. It's a common. It's a 2/3 for 4, which is not good. It's Vigilance. That doesn't really help that much. But you can tap it to add the colorless mana to your mana pool. So, not a super great card, but you may need it in your deck anyway for the various colorless shenanigans. Okay, moving on, we have the Warping Wall. 1 colorless and 1 of any color. It's a uncommon instant, and you choose 1. Exile target creature with power or toughness 1 or less. So exiles a little weenie, which there are reasons you may want to do that. You can counter target sorcery spell That's kind of specific, but could be useful. Or you can put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi sign creature into battlefield that you can sacrifice for mana. So, I actually like this card because it's so versatile. Gives you a counter spell, gives you a creature, a 1/1 that you can sacrifice for mana out of 2 mana is not too terrible. You can kill something, albeit small. So I kind of like this card. It's got some options. They're not super great options, but it's got options which is neat. All right. Over here we have a Wild Field Scarecrow. 3 mana for an uncommon artifact creature that happens to be a scarecrow. It's a 1/4 for 3 mana. It's basically a defensive creature, and it is just a defender. But you can pay 2 and sacrifice him. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Now, I wonder if the wastes are considered basic lands. If they are, then this could be really useful. Otherwise, I don't know. So we'll get to those in a minute. This guy could be useful, but it depends on what the because getting basic lands, there's other ways. If you're playing green, there's other ways to get that. I mean, this gives non-green decks a way to get some lands, I guess, but you're paying, you're paying a lot to do it, so it's not that great. But all right, here we have Crumblin Prestige. So Crumblin Prestige enters the battlefield tapped. Okay, and then when Crumblin Prestige enters the battlefield, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So even though it enters play tapped, you can still take advantage of a mana of any color, but then after that it just gives you 1 colorless. Now I really like this card, but because of, and I'm gonna make a separate video about this, but because Magic Duels has changed the priority, and I can't believe they did that, I think you got to make sure not to play this in your first main phase, because if you do, you will not get to use that mana. I think the priority thing is really funky. I'm gonna cover it in a separate video, but I know the priority thing kind of can possibly screw with this card, so you got to be careful. You got to make sure you have at least either sorcery or a creature in your first main phase if you're gonna play this. Otherwise, play it in your second main phase. So you want to be careful with this card. That's all I'm saying with the changes to priority that they stupidly made. Okay, we have a Drown Yard Temple. It's a rare land. Add a colorless to your mana pool. That's always good. And pay 3. Return Drown Temple from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Oh, that is kind of cool. Oh, this will go good in with that creature. What was that? The monster that eats lands. So you can get this back, but I don't know if you'd want to use it in that deck. Now that I think about it, this seems kind of narrow, but I imagine there's uses for it. Well, especially with stuff that you discard. So if you discard this for madness or for whatever, for delirium, whatever, you can get this back. So it's kind of interesting. Narrow usage, but interesting. Hissing Quagmire. It's a rare land. Enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for green or black mana, which is good. And you can pay a green, 1 black, and 1 of anything else. And it becomes a 2/2 black and green creature, elemental creature with Death Touch until end of turn. And it's still a land. So most of the time you probably want to use this to kill something, but you can also use it to sneak in for 2 points of damage. So very cool. I like this card. I would definitely use this even just for the black and green. And the fact that it can turn into a creature with Death Touch is just a bonus. Alright, Needle Spires. That is a cool picture. I like it. Rare land. Needle Spires enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for red and or red or white mana, and you can pay 1 white, 1 red, and 2 colors. It becomes a 2/1 red and white elemental creature with double strike until end of turn. It's still alive, so it actually does 4 damage when it attacks. So that's pretty nice. Yeah, if you're playing red and white, I mean, why not use this? Next we have the Ruins of Oran Reef. Ruins of Oran Reef enters the battlefield tapped. Add 1 colorless to your mana pool, and let's see, put up. Wait, hold on. lost my train of thought here. Enters the battlefield tap. It gives you a colorless, and you can tap this, put a +1/+1 counter on target colorless creature that entered the battlefield this turn. So you want to use this in one of those colorless Eldrazi decks, and you can make your guys bigger. Outside of that, not very useful. Okay, where are the wastes? Alright, next we have the Wandering Fulmaro, another rare land. Enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for red or blue to your mana pool, and you play 1 red, 1 white, and 2 until end of turn. Wandering Fulmaro becomes a 1/4 red and blue elements creature with 0. Switch this creature's power and toughness until end of turn. It's still a land. So yeah, you can make it into a 1/4 defender or a 4/1 attacker. So pretty versatile, kind of cool. I like that. We have a Warped Landscape. Add a colorless to your mana pool, and 2 and tap it. Sacrifice Warped Landscape. Search your library for a basic land card and put it into the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. Seems like an inferior Evolving Wilds. However, it does give you that colorless mana that you will probably need if you're playing with those cards. So it's neat. It's neat. It won't replace Evolving Wilds, but in a deck that uses the colorless mana, it could be useful. So, and then we have the Westville Abby. It is a land that transforms. It's a rare, so you can only have 2 in your deck. Add colorless to your mana pool. You pay 5 and tap it. Pay 1 life. Put a 1/1 white and black human cleric creature token onto the battlefield, so it generates tokens. And then you can pay 5, tap it, and sacrifice 5 creatures to transform Westville Abby. Then untap it. It untaps itself. So what does it transform into? It transforms into Ormandal, the Profane Prince, a rare demon who's a legendary creature. He's a freaking 9/7 with flying, with lifelink. He is indestructible and has haste. With Grizzlebrand gone, the Skursdag eagerly awaited another demon to claim their devotion. Ormandal did not make them wait long. So you sacrifice a bunch of people and you summon the devil himself. Holy crap, a 9/7 flying lifelink indestructible with haste. And after you do the sacrifice and transform him, he can attack right away because he gets untapped and he has haste. So this guy is cool. I really like him. And now I noticed people were putting this card in their deck in even though they didn't use that mana, and now I see why, because there's a chance that you can do this with him, which is really, oh man, this is cool. I think this is like my favorite card in the set right now because it's just very, very cool. I like the flavor of it. Now, one thing I'm kind of curious about, I did not see any cards that were actual wastes, because this guy here, walk the way gets put for each land you control, name wastes. Well, the lands over here are not named wastes, right? Not one of them. So let's look at, let's clear all the filters, and let's go all the way to the end where the lands are. Alright, so here we go. I found this. So in the basic lands, you now have a new basic land called Waste, and you tap it for this type of mana, the colorless. So it's not a special land, so it's a basic land now. So you can search for it with stuff that goes searches for basic lands, and it works with that guy that makes use of the waste card, so he could potentially be really, really big. So alright, so glad we figured that out, because I was a little bit confused as to why it was referring to waste card, and I didn't see any waste cards, but wastes are basic lands now, so that's just weird. That's just weird to see that there is a 6th color basically of Magic. So anyway, guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing your comments down below. So give me a like if you like this video. Consider subscribing for more videos. And guys, again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.